We live in a pretty fucking disgusting country. I was just watching a video. Of course, a lot of these videos, I'm fighting for people's rights that aren't me. These are my rights too, though, which is why I fight for them. Sorry about having to put my. Sorry about the belching too. I'll put this up that way I don't have to hunch down like that. Makes me look all creepy and scary. Roar! I'm a big scary bear. So, I don't get this Karen thing. All these people saying it's the Karens. The Karens did it. Well, okay. I guess that works. That's kind of like Fuzzy Bear running around calling everybody Cletus. Male, female, makes no difference. He just calls everybody Cletus. Now, I'm actually going to go through this video because, first of all, it's a good video. It supposedly shows what black people have to go through. And many of y'all, after listening to the video, you're going to realize that it's really what a lot of people have to go through. Also, a lot of the narrative that the guy is trying to put with it is very much incorrect. He wants it to be a much more racist issue than it is. And it is definitely a racist issue. This woman literally stands in front of these two black men's vehicle at a Mercedes-Benz dealership. This vehicle is nicer than any vehicle in this entire town. I mean, there's 500 people that live in this town. There are people who drive BMWs in this town. There are people with some nice fucking vehicles here. But nobody driving a vehicle like what them two black men were in. Now, a lot of people just automatically jump to those bad narratives and assumptions. Oh, he has a nice vehicle. He must be a drug dealer. Obviously, only white people can have vehicles like that and not be drug dealers. Meanwhile, there's lots of people in this world who are like, well, we know that ain't right. You can say that if professional basketball player has a nice car, that he's a drug dealer. Now let's pretend that only black people can play basketball. Only white people can't. White men can't jump. That was the name of a movie when I was growing up. We get to hear all this racist stuff, but it's only okay. It's only an acceptable narrative one way. A lot of what this gentleman was saying, and I'm about to play the video. It's about, let me see how long it is. It's called Karen Blocks Brothers from Leaving Mercedes-Benz Dealership. Now, first of all, I'm going to point out before I even press play on this video that I know lots of women like this. I literally know hundreds and hundreds of women like this. This is exactly what it is that I'm telling y'all. We teach women to act like this. We teach them that it is okay and it is acceptable. Now, although she's the one that's doing something wrong, she immediately starts trying to play victim. First, he's trying to claim that they're trying to put their hands on her, and they're not. Then she tries to claim that they're trying to run her over, and obviously they're not. They want her to move so they can leave. What are two people in an extremely nice looking vehicle doing at a Mercedes-Benz dealership? What could they possibly be there for? Could it have something to do with their vehicle? Or possibly even buying another one? Now, I also don't accept the narrative that this is a black issue. This is a race issue, and we need to focus on black people because it's absolutely not. It is 100% a poverty issue. All of this racism and this sexism and all this other bullshit, that all comes from people's wants, needs, and desires and what they were taught growing up. See, it's not the problem, it's the symptom. If you catch a virus and that virus gives you a runny nose, all right, you take Mucinex and it dries up your nose, but you still have that virus. Taking care of this stuff just for black people isn't even a temporary fix. We have seen what affirmative action has done to drive an even bigger wedge into that already volatile situation. We got black people from California moving their company offshores so that they can hire the people that they started that company so that they could hire, so they could help their friends and their homies in the projects get up and out, to get out of that, just like the homeless are trying to do. And the homeless go through a lot more of it than any of you ever will, more than you can possibly imagine, while telling us that we couldn't possibly imagine your situation. You know, that might be true. I've never been black. I've been beaten up hundreds of times for the color of my skin. I mean, growing up in institutions and foster homes and places like that, yeah, fucking, it's not a fucking pretty place, and the system is racism. You don't have a choice in the matter. You walk into it, it's already racist. I got a electric burner underneath my chair here. It's keeping me warm. I got zero sleep last night, and I do apologize. But I'm gonna play this video for you, even though we're already 7 minutes in. I'm sorry I talk so much. We'll put it all the way back to the beginning. Now, mind you, I'm not saying that the way this woman interacted with them is okay. And there's a few things those men said to that woman and to her husband that probably didn't help out the situation. It's called Karen blocks brothers from leaving Mercedes-Benz dealership.
You have some brothers at a Mercedes-Benz dealership, and they're trying to leave the dealership, and guess who show up to put themselves in front of their car? Good old Karen. Let's roll that clip. Why are you blocking the car? I'm leaving. Get the fuck out my way. I'm picking him up. I came to pick him up. I'm getting the fuck out of here. Trespassing what? Trespassing what? Trespassing what? Why are you trespassing? Trespassing what?
Now I'm gonna stop right there because that's something that especially women are taught in the United States. Just saying the same fucking stupid thing over and over again doesn't make it right. It doesn't make it true, and it doesn't make you harassing somebody okay. Now, me, I harass people back now. I certainly the fuck do. If the law is unjust, it is my duty to break it. If it's all right for people to do to me, but it's not all right for me to do back, there's a major issue. If people are allowed to do it to me just to be mean to somebody, and I'm not allowed to do the same thing to defend myself, and I am a criminal if I do it, but anybody else who does it to me gets away with it, then we have a much bigger issue than racism. See, a lot of people who, if you won't focus on just black people, first of all, that's racist. All right? There are millions of people in the United States going through this very same stuff. It's not just black people being killed by white cops. It's people being killed by cops. In specific, it is poor people being killed by cops. Native Americans being killed by cops. White people being killed by cops. And guess what? These cops aren't all white. Some of these cops are black. Some of them are Hispanic. Some of them are Native American. Not all of these cops killing people are white. Wayland Lolatai, out of the 6 people that he assaulted, 7 people, myself included, that he assaulted that I am aware of in 2018. Out of the 7 people that he assaulted, the only 3 that anyone did a goddamn thing about, said a goddamn thing about, fucking spoke up about, was the 3 who were minorities. Do I deserve to be treated like shit from all of these different people whose rights I have stuck up for all of these years? Do I deserve to be punished as if I'm the one who's doing these crimes? As if I'm the one who shot these people? When I say these people, I'm not talking black people. I'm not talking white people. I'm talking poor people. Now, this lady, with all due respect, she kind of does look Hispanic. She really does. However, that doesn't mean that she's Hispanic. But then again, she's possibly white. Does that make her behavior any more or less okay? Does the color of her skin make her behavior any more or less okay? I've known a lot of Hispanic women who are just like that. You can go on YouTube and find Hispanic women who act just like this woman. You can find black women who act just like this woman. There are a lot of women who are taught that this is an acceptable way to treat human beings. You don't like them because they're homeless, you call the cops. You don't like them because they're black in the wrong neighborhood, call the cops. Cops don't give a fuck if you did anything wrong. What they give a fuck about is that a woman called up because she's scared, because there's a black man in her neighborhood. Bitch, shut the fuck up. You're in your goddamn house. If he's breaking into your house, that's when you call the goddamn cops. If a homeless person is walking down the street, they're not trying to break into your goddamn house. They're suspicious because they have a backpack? You're out of your goddamn mind. Zaid Atkinson, he wasn't harassed for the color of his skin. He was harassed because he looked like the garden variety hippie folks who hang out in Boulder. He had dreadlocks, fucked up work boots. He was dirty. He didn't look like somebody who lived in a fucking apartment. He looked like somebody who lived on the fucking streets. And that's why he was harassed. The same thing with Sammy Leon Lawrence IV. Now, Wayland Lolatai, what color is he? He's darker skinned than Zaid Atkinson. He is darker skinned than Sammy Leon Lawrence IV, both of the men who claimed that they were targeted because they were black. They weren't targeted for the color of their skin. Sammy Leon Lawrence IV already admitted that. The man who was involved in all 3 of those cases, Sammy Leon Lawrence IV, Michelle Rodriguez, and Zaid Atkinson. His name's Darren O'Connor, and he admitted it too. And guess what? I have conversations with him on this YouTube that prove that. I respect everybody. You don't have to earn my respect. You are a human being to me until you show me otherwise. It is not my respect that you have to earn. It is my disrespect which is earned. And if you have earned my disrespect, maybe you should ask yourself why. Let's press play again. We only got about 30 seconds into that, didn't we? I think it's like 4 minutes long. I don't know. 6 minutes, 44 seconds.
On a fucking place where you don't belong.
Hey, get off the whip. Hey, get off the whip. Hey, I can buy any car here I want to buy. What are you talking about?
All right, so whip, that's car, a ride. They didn't call it that when I was growing up. They called it a ride. A lot of people still call it a ride, but those of you who aren't down with the lingo, that's what a whip is. He's talking about his very, very nice car. And she keeps putting her hands on it, literally stepping up to the vehicle. The vehicle is not in motion, and she's literally walking into it so that they can't leave.
Hey, I'm trying to. What are you talking about? Hey, I'm trying to get on somewhere.
So fucking fight.
Hey, ain't nobody getting you no problem. We trying to. Hey, y'all get y'all homie, bro. Get y'all homie, bro. Hey, we trying to leave. Get y'all homie, bro. This is why people probably want to smack the fuck out you, dog. Move.
Now, hold on a second. This is white people. This is white people. That's the first thing coming out of his mouth about that situation as a narrative. This is white people. No, it's not just white people. We teach women in specific in the United States to act this way. We call them busybodies. These are people who are so upset with not getting everything that they wanted out of life that they have to try to destroy other people's lives. Now, there's something that he said after that that is also very important, so I'm going to rewind it a couple of seconds, and we're going to re-listen to it.
Hey, y'all get y'all homie, bro.
Now, mind you, she's trying to get people, these two black men haven't actually done anything wrong. She's trying to get other people there, other people involved, while she's trying to be a racist bitch. I mean, it is obviously a racial issue here. But she's trying to get other people involved. She believes in her sick head that she can somehow get other people over here to hate on these two black men with her. Women are taught that in the United States. Every woman that I know has been taught that. And nearly every woman that I know has admitted it. Many of them brought it up themselves. Most of the women that I know don't have female friends because, in their own words, women are scandalous. Well, men are scandalous too. There are men that I know that are like this. But 90% of the people, over 90% of the people I know like this are women. Most of them are heavy-set women. And most of them do things exactly like this, not just to black people, but to anyone that they feel like they can get away with doing this too. Now, when I say that this isn't a racist issue, that's not saying that racism doesn't have anything to do with it. Racism absolutely has to do with it, but it's a symptom, it's not the problem. We got Native Americans and white people going through this same shit. We got white people being murdered by police. We have Native Americans being murdered by police. We have police nationwide who won't investigate any of it. Now, this woman, apparently her name must be Karen. Apparently anybody who's bitchy like this is a Karen. All right, that's cool. Well, I've had to deal with a lot of Karens in my life. People who want to call the cops because they don't like you. A lot of the harassment that I had to deal with as a homeless person was because people just don't like homeless people. Most of the issues that I had to deal with after Natalie was killed were because of people's opinions of things that I didn't even fucking do and was never allowed to defend myself against. Everybody should have the right to defend themselves. You know, if you want to be a racist old bigot in the privacy of your own fucking house, that's fine. If you want to go out looking for problems, that's completely fucking different. If you're out there actively searching for black people to harm, then you're the bad guy. Now, if you are a racist bigot in your own home in Snow, Nebraska, and two armed black men break into your house, yeah, whatever you do from there isn't because you're a racist, it's because people are breaking into your house. It's not because they're black, it's because they're armed. At that point in time, when it's dark, it's nighttime, and people are breaking into your fucking house, even if you are a racist, obviously this racist asshole is minding his own business in Snow fucking Nebraska. He's staying away from places where he is going to want to go do harmful things to others. He is doing the right thing by staying the fuck away from people. And if you can't respect that, yeah, just because he's racist and doesn't like black people doesn't mean that you aren't going to get shot for going into his fucking house illegally. Is that me saying that black people are all a bunch of thieves? No, that's me painting out a very specific scenario here. There are people who harbor all sorts of bias, who mind their own goddamn business, stay to themselves, and don't go looking to start fucking trouble. And then there are women like this. Now, don't get me wrong, what those guys are talking to her isn't exactly nice. And later on, when they're threatening to smack the shit out of her and her husband, that's obviously not the best way to deal with that. But then again, people are saying, well, that these men were justified in saying such things. Meanwhile, I've got people actually physically assaulting me and actually threatening to end my life and the lives of my loved ones. And I'm not allowed to say any of the shit that this guy just said or is about to say. I'm not allowed to say that I would slap the shit out of somebody or I'm a terrible person, especially because I'm white. I must be prone to violence. You know, they tried pulling that bullshit back in the 90s about how black people were prone to violence. I'm not sure how many of y'all were alive or old enough to remember Black Rage. Now, here's what Black Rage was. Back during the 90s, there were some black folks who just outright murdered people and claimed that it was because of black rage. Once a black man gets to a certain age and blah, blah, blah. And they tried telling this stuff as if it were science. Kind of like Germans' brains are manufactured better than Jewish brains. That's the same fucking ignorance. And yes, there were black men in the 90s who got away with murder by calling it black rage. Well, what if I say I got white rage? Does that make it okay for me to go kill people? No, it doesn't. Killing people is wrong. Defending yourself is always okay.
Get your homie, bro.
Hey, we trying to leave.
Get your homie, bro. This is why people, bro, I want to smack the fuck out you, dog. Move.
This is white people, and I just want to smack the fuck out you, dog. Yeah, this is 1 minute and 9 seconds into the video. We aren't even a minute into the video as far as this altercation goes because it started off with an announcement at the beginning. And here we are. He's already threatening violence. People are allowed to threaten violence against me. I'm not allowed to threaten it back, am I? Fucking course not. I'm considered mentally ill. It must be magically okay. This guy has already gotten away with a lot of shit that I wouldn't have gotten away with. And instead of people talking about and typing about how terrible a person he is for threatening violence and cursing at a woman, like they did with me, he's justified in doing so because he's black. That don't seem racist to you? Yeah, Bobby Red typed what? Are you saying people got off for killing because of black rage? Yes, they absolutely did. They absolutely did. Type up black rage, you'll notice there's at least a dozen cases from the early to mid 90s. One of those cases was in Washington State, and I was in Washington State at the time, and that's the reason that I got to be real privy to that shit. Of course, I've been in a lot of historic places during a lot of historic events in the last 30 years, 40 years. I'm not even 40 years old. But a lot of the things I've gone through in the last few years, a lot of the officers and deputies that I've had to go through, a lot of them have been on the news. Officer Waylon Lolatai, the officer who assaulted me in January of 2018, was on the news